Hey cousins, welcome to Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
Welcome, cousins, to this episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas. I'm your host, Cornell Wright, the People's Lobbyist. Today, let's talk about the term culture wars. Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas is intended for the participation of responsible adults of legal drinking age who wish to engage in substantive virtual discussions and social drinking for entertainment purposes only. Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas does not advocate the abuse of alcoholic beverages. Choosing to participate in any of the drinking activities shared in the program should be made with moderation and caution and is the sole responsibility of the user. So cousins, keep wearing your masks, be considerate, because some cousins still don't have the vaccine, and everyone is still susceptible and can catch COVID-19. If you have the vaccinations, of course, you will fare better. If you don't, you're still exposed. And so everyone continue being concerned about all the cousins out there. And for those of you who haven't gotten vaccinated, please get the vaccinations. And by the way, for all the cousins, it's time for flu season. Get your flu vaccine as well. So cousins, I want to talk about culture wars. I don't like the term. In fact, I think we ought to stop using the term culture wars for a number of reasons I think are solid and really good for us. And the basic reason is that war denotes two sides or three sides that are coming in conflict with each other, in which there's only one side that's going to win, and that idea is the best. Cousins, that's not right. That's not right because we live here in this country called the United States of America. We live here on this planet called Earth. We live here because we have next door neighbors and we have towns and we play games and stuff with everybody in our town and we play college sports and we play all sorts of things in which there's competition that doesn't involve the conflict or the concept of war. War is definitive. It has the understanding that someone is right or less than and should in fact be eliminated, doesn't it? Think about all the concepts of war that come into play, cousins. There's not a good outcome to war. Strike the term. Come on, cousins. We're talking about differences and differences of opinions, not wars. So you go back and you look at culture wars, it talks about, it goes back to like the 1800s, which is a number of readings and writings about that. I have some of the references in the descriptions. And in particular, it talks about sex, gender, curricula, religious, and let's not forget racial aspects to where culture wars can exist. But I'm sorry, cousins, let's go back to something a little bit lighter, but let's make it on the same level. When you have your favorite team, do we talk about a war between our teams? No. In regards to the beer that you like, is there a war? No. I'm sorry, between the cousins in Kentucky and the cousins in Tennessee, is there a war between bourbons and whiskeys? No. Cousins. And then let's just get around to the real serious part concerning where I live in the country. There's thick crust and there's thin crust pizza. Is there a war between them? No, you enjoy whichever one you can get when you live in that area, right? So cousins, if we can't have wars on those things that impact all of us, at least most of us on a regular basis, on a daily basis, what's with these other wars that people are trouncing up and getting us emotionally engaged about? I'll tell you what it is. It's because saying the word war allows people to hide behind less thinking and less engagement. If I'm going to declare I'm on this side in a culture war, then I don't have to do any more thinking, do I? If I'm a politician and I'm trying to herd, notice the right word, herd a group of people into a corner because they think they're engaged in a culture war, then what? I have to do less work. I have to come up with less good ideas. I have to be less creative in order to find something that works for more people, that's just and fair. You see what I'm saying, cousins? And also, let's not forget, there are in fact those people out there who are puppet masters. who are not necessarily politicians, but they're out there moving strings and making things happen that we don't always see. It makes it easier for them to do their jobs if we're convinced that we're on a war against cousins on the other side because for some reason they don't agree with us completely. Come on, cousins. Isn't that a bad idea to have something and a term being used that's so divisive? Culture wars. No. Cultural understanding is what I'm suggesting we're trying to get to, right? Cultural understanding. Culture wars starts to have separations that you can't mend back. Understanding gives us an opportunity of finding out where there's basis for areas of agreement. If nothing else, we're breathing the same air, drinking the same water, and standing on the same soil. Let's start with those. Talking about sexual cultural war. Does anybody here think their mother didn't deserve to be paid equally to anybody else she was working next to, male or female? Come on, cousins, you know you did. And you know you thought your mother was being done wrong. Not to mention your sister or your wife or cousins or whomever, right? So all these factors come into play. And think about it, the United States was built on the basis of religious freedom. So that means that every religion has its opportunity to practice freely in our country, as going back to the founding fathers even before the Declaration of Independence. That's why people came here. Ask the folks in Maryland why they're Catholics, why the folks in Pennsylvania are Protestant, and with the various ethnicities of the Mennonites and the other groups that are there. Come on, cousins, right? That's all part of it. It goes back to the founding of the country and how we should be running things and keeping that in mind and not getting pulled apart. It's too easy to get pulled apart and herded into corners when you're being told and starting to believe that, oh, well, I'm on this side. I'm sorry, let's be on the side of the United States. Because the United States is in serious competition with other people around the world. I'm not declaring wars. What I'm saying is there's differences of opinion in how they view the world and how we view the world. Those differences are going to play out and will continue to play out in everything we do in regards to economics, militarily, view of the planet, support of the planet, etc. Suppose someone came out and said, oh, well, right now there's a culture war, and there has been in regards to whether or not there's climate change or not. Come on, cousin, remember that? So who was telling you there was no climate change, how long ago, and now you look at what how your life is being impacted by climate change? Everybody is. In fact, you can't hardly go anywhere in our country now that your environment is not being impacted by climate change, right? You know, where? Okay, I mean, like either salient of the water, rising of tidal water things, hurricanes, flooding, okay, wildfires rather. Come on, cousins. Flowers would be a great idea too. We ought to plant more of those, okay? You got me on that one. Well, come on, cousins. So let's get away with that term. Let's start recognizing that we need more conversation, more discussion, more true interaction on the part of our politicians and on ourselves to listen to what somebody else has to say. Listen what their perspective is. You might learn something because their life experiences are different than yours. It's those life experiences that give us a chance to recognize, oh, well, gee, maybe there's something to be said for that. Maybe I wasn't quite clear on that. There was an expression a long time ago, I think it's from Jackson Browne, and he had in one of his albums, and one of the song lyrics says, it's easy to hurt others if you can't feel pain. Think about it, cousins. It's easy to hurt others if you can't feel pain. So if you go along, cousins, thinking that your life is perfect and everything's smooth, and you look around and somebody else is looking for something they've probably been done wrong in some way that you may have just overstepped or not even paid any attention to. Give them an opportunity to hear what they have to say, and let's get away with this war discussion. Let's start talking about discussion about how we're going to work this thing out together for the benefit of everybody, because we know wars do not create positive outcomes on a regular basis. You with me, cousins? All right, so look. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas. You take care of yourselves. Let's get away with the term. It's no longer constructive for us or good. And keep wearing your mask. By the way, let's have this last drink together. All right, that's good. Take care of your cousins. See you next week on Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
We the show. Here we go again. Hey, cousin.